creepy, and cool TikToks that will blow your mind. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go!
Disclaimer: this video is for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research, as these clips haven't been fact-checked.
This man's walking around and he sees a part of a liquefied, now solidified, melted metal action from this car. Many people are already going to be thinking that would be a pretty hot fire, which it would be. So there must be a forest right nearby that's burnt. Oh, not really. Now, in this book, Where Did the Towers Go? There was a parking lot, and they called the Toasted Car Park, because almost every single car in this parking lot got toasted. And it was near the towers, makes you wonder. But the strange thing is that you'd have images like this, where the outside of the car is toasted, the paint is melted off, but inside plastic and vinyl still is intact. Same thing with this, toasted exterior, but unburnt upholstery, unburnt seatbelt, plastic molding. And it's all about the strangeness of what happened to some of these cars on 9/11. Makes you wonder.
Aluminum and alloys are not expected to melt in typical fire without some type of acceleration, right? I could be wrong. Let me know how you feel about it in the comment. I don't even understand what I just watched. Can someone please explain?
I shouldn't be crying because my entire block is burnt down. But God saved my house. Why are all of my neighbors? Why are they? And then in the middle of two burnt down blocks, there's one house standing, and that's mine.
Wow. You know, survivor guilt is a real grief, and I hope he has good people around him.
One day, he goes, it's just going to be the right wind, and fire's going to start in the right place, and it's going to burn through LA all the way to the ocean, and there's not a thing we can do about it. He goes, we get lucky with the wind. He goes, but if the wind hits the wrong way, it's just going to burn straight through LA, and there's not going to be a thing we can do about it.
I watched this podcast a long time ago, and Joe Rogan didn't predict this. He said someone told him these were not his words, but him repeating the words of someone else.
This is a real text that I just received from a friend of mine about the fires. I'm not going to cry because I got torn apart for my last TikTok video where I cried about my house maybe burning down. I'll spare you. Wow. She's on a plane and I said, do you want me to go to your house and get stuff out? Like things that you can't replace. I'll go right now, even though the area is evacuated. She wrote back, you can't get in. Topanga's barricaded. The back way we use is being guarded by fire trucks now because some of the neighbors caught a guy setting more fires on the back of our hill. They chased him away. They called 911. I think they caught the guy recently in Woodland Hills trying to put gasoline in sewers. It's happening all over.
Yep.
Okay, happy to talk about climate change. I'm not a scientist, so I don't understand enough about it to weigh in. I think this is also a mental illness crisis. And what do you say, oft? What do you say, unalived? When someone unalive someone?
Yep.
I'm the first person to go, I'd like to hear their side of the story. I'm sure they should be in jail, but I just want to hear their side of the story. Arsonists. I don't need to hear your side of the story. Your story sucks.
Local news said he was arrested, but I don't believe anything they said. Oh my goodness. Wow. Bambi. Poor. All of the animals is the first thing I always think in these incidents. They don't have resources like we do. My heart aches for them.
Okay, major breaking news. Donald Trump has just been officially sentenced for the crimes that he was found guilty of. And this is the sentence. An unconditional discharge on all 34 charges, meaning Trump does not face any fines, he does not face any probation, and he will serve no jail time. In response to this verdict, Trump said, "This result alone proves that there is no case, there never was a case, and this whole scam fully deserves to be dismissed." So the question is, do you think that he got off light, or was this fair?
Trump is the GOAT.
And we were able to do a citizen's arrest and detain him until the police had arrived. He had a blowtorch to smoke marijuana because he couldn't afford a lighter. He spoke a lot of Spanish, but did speak some English as well. We had some Spanish-speaking neighbors.
Again, the world is supposed to believe this. Oh man. That's mean. Oh, ow. 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 Uh-oh. There's a Pocahontas right there. Wow. Oh man, look at that. Wow, the horse knew. There is a saying, always listen to your dog. If they don't like somebody, they are always right. I think same with horses.
Are you evacuating? Are you okay? Oh my gosh, are you okay?
Yeah, I just leave my car right there.
Where's your car?
The cop saying you have to leave, and I leave my car right there because
So, what happened?
there's a lot of fire right there. That's why the people coming. They leave the car. And
They said to get out of your car? Okay.
Oh, look at the dog.
Did they tell you to get out of your car? All right. We heard
Oh.
people walking down the street.
because the fire came right down
Animals.
to the road, and the fire department came up and said, "Get out of your cars now," because the fires were right up against the cars.
Comes another group of people. Hi. Were you guys told to get out of your cars as well? How far up were you?
At the corner of Palisades Drive and Sunset. We had a more cars.
Okay, and did you see, I can walk with you, did you see the flames coming?
Oh yeah. The home tree was on fire at the corner.
Okay, let them leave now.
All right, where are you headed now?
I think towards the water. Probably.
Okay, all right. And how close were the flames to your home? What
Right
happened?
there, folks, right there, the flame. I mean, it's right there, right now. It's on the side of the hill. We don't know what's going on. So we can see the home from Sunset. So.
Okay, all right, thank you so much.
Yes.
Stay put, I think so. All right, so it's kind of chaotic here, to say the least. We've got people jumping into cars. We're told up the road to get out of their car. So people are stepping in and helping. Sir, they want you to get in the car. You can keep going. Do you know them?
Yes, they're my neighbors.
Okay, and so you're helping out. Yeah. Saying this is an evacuation order, get down toward the beach. They've repeated it several times. You see all these cars, the police cars clearing people out, shouting on the loudspeakers to get out. You can see on the side of the roads, people walking down, covering their faces. So something's happening right above us. I think the fire is just right there, but again, I can't read the sign, and my IFB has fallen out of my ear again. But again, very scary situation here. Very, very windy. Now they're turning around, going back that way. But here's some more people. It looks like they had to evacuate quickly. No? Okay. All right. They're trying to get out as well. And now
There's no time for
more
interview.
police cars have their sirens on and are zooming up. But as you can see, it's just very, very hard to see what's going on.
Here even got celebrities chiming in. Chris Brown went on his Instagram and said this. Y'all can see what he said. So I'm not crazy, right? And remember, he's in the Los Angeles area. He also said, make sure y'all throw a ceremony or a parade for these firefighters and first responders after this. Yes, y'all. We must all do that. DDG even chimes in. Listen to this, y'all.
Me, I'm just saying it's just a little weird that it's happening in so many different rich areas. And I know it's people that's not rich that also got affected, but the areas that it's happening in, it should not be happening in. Like Pacific Palisades is right next to the ocean. Bro, these areas ain't supposed to be happening. You feel me? West Hollywood is out of control. This is the city. Literally don't make no logical sense to me. I'm like, bro, why is Hollywood? The Hollywood sign is on fire right now. Kid you not.
No, it's not.
How?
I'm about to watch The Simpsons and figure this out.
Hillbillies, inbreds, drugs, poverty. Appalachia is the media's favorite punching bag. But is any of that real? To find out, we went deep into the mountains of Georgia.
You can't run us out, you can't stomp us out.
Our destination was Raven County, where Deliverance, the movie that made Appalachia the villain, was shot. Deliverance's story of Appalachian inbreds terrorizing a group of city folk has shaped America's perception of the region for decades. We wanted to know what was truth and what was fiction.
A lot of the locals do not like the movie just because of the way it portrayed us.
The trip started in Atlanta. Progressive, modern, urban, but just a couple of hours north, things looked completely different. The city, gone, replaced by the country and the hills. We were headed as deep into the mountains as we could go. On the way there, though, we stopped to talk to people about the area.
Are hillbillies still a thing?
My neighbors would consider hillbillies, I guess, because they backwoods country and ain't got no sense.
The first thing we learned was that this was a deeply conservative region.
When somebody starts talking about this transgender junk and killing babies and all this kind of stuff, there ain't no way I'd vote for him.
The people here are quick to remind you, Appalachia isn't just the country. It's something else entirely, a different culture, a different pace, a different history. Yet, like the country, Appalachia loves Donald Trump, its Bibles, and its barbecue. Our destination was in the mountains, but we stopped on the way to hear stories like Christian's, a Marine Corps veteran turned beekeeper who waved us down on the roadside to ask if we needed help. That's Appalachia, a place where strangers don't stay strangers for long.
Where are you from? My grandma literally lived like right where that light pole is if you turn right there.
So what's the deal around here? What's it like?
I mean, crap, there's not a whole lot to do unless you're into nature. The difference between like hillbillies and rednecks. Redneck is gonna be like your dipper, probably a loud gay truck. The real hillbilly, like a real bad one, I mean, those are the rebel flag racists usually. They'll fight tooth and nail to say that's not what that flag means.
Still see that around?
Dude, they have a store next to Walmart that's literally a rebel store.
Where's that? Do I want to go? Yeah, we'll have to check that out.
Yeah, that's some good shit. You'll be like, whoa. I mean, there's going to be, yeah, they're still fighting the good fight. They think the South will rise again or something, dude. I don't know.
Forget the Confederacy. Tradition is alive here in many ways. Many towns have markets like this where people from the mountains come to trade stories, sell what they've made, and share a little of what they know. This and other traditions remain more intact in Appalachia than just about anywhere else in the country.
I was raised in the Tennessee mountains, and when I moved up here, my wife's parents, they lived up here.
Where you were raised, were there paved roads, electricity?
No. I thought we were rich because we had a two-seater outhouse. Past Atlanta, then you're in the South. But up here, no.
Where are the schools? Wow. And you know, this reminds me of the movie Wrong Turn.
This guy walked into the woods and hid from society for 27 years. In all that time, he said one word to one other person. He accidentally ran across somebody who was hiking one day. She said hi, he said hi back, and that is the only discussion he had with anybody for 27 years. His name is Christopher Knight. In 1986, he quit his job, got into a Subaru Brat, drove it down a dirt road in Maine until he ran out of gas, and then grabbed a small backpack that he had with him, put it on, and headed back into the woods.
Wow.
For years, he just wandered around the Maine wilderness until he was completely lost. His only guiding principle was that if he saw any sign of humans, he would go the other way. Way up in the mountain, there was this field of boulders that had been left there by glaciers, and he realized that he could hide there and nobody would ever find them. So he set up a permanent camp. It was the perfect location because he could go down to North Pond where there was a bunch of summer cabins, and he could break in and steal the stuff that he needed. And so he would wait until it was a moonless night, and then he would go down to the lake shore and steal a canoe. And then he would canoe along the lake shore until he found a new house, and he would go and break in. The stuff he stole was never anything valuable. It was just food and maybe some camping gear, some propane, and some books. Then he would canoe back to the original place, leave the canoe where he had stole it, and cover it up with some pine needles so people wouldn't think it had been taken. He would do this all summer and all fall, just like a bear getting ready to hibernate. Because when winter happened, he would go into his tent and he would stay there all winter long because he didn't want people to trace his footsteps back. And he would never light a fire because they might see the smoke. He would stay warm in the freezing temperatures by getting up in the middle of the night and just walking around, or using a little propane stove for heat. And he would just read and think for months until it was time to come out of hibernation again. It took the people of North Pond quite a while to figure out that they were being robbed. I mean, nothing important was going missing, just little things. Some people even thought that it wasn't a human that was taking the things. It must be the Maine Sasquatch. One guy, a game warden, this guy, his name's T. Hughes, he figured that somebody was stealing that stuff. You remember after 9/11 when the United States government and Homeland Security gave local law enforcement a whole bunch of money to buy new equipment? Well, he took that money and he bought security cameras and he set them up at a local campsite. That's how your hard-earned tax dollars were being spent. And then he waited for a long time until one night he saw somebody come into the camp and break in. That's a picture from the security camera. He rushed in and arrested the guy, and the guy immediately just gave up. Turns out that he felt really bad about breaking into people's houses and taking their stuff. He was just trying to survive. When people in the community heard that he just wanted to be left alone, they felt sympathetic to him, and so did the judge. So when he pled guilty to 13 burglaries, the judge said, "How long have you been in jail?" And he said, 6 months. And he says, "I convict you and sentence you to 6 months and 1 week." He spent 1 more week in jail, and then he walked out and he went into his mom's house where he was required to be on probation, and he disappeared again. He just wants to be left alone. And I think there are days we can all...
Yep. The older I get, the more I can relate to this guy.
What in the world was that? Watching Fox News coverage of the Eaton fire, there is this light that goes from the fire, as you can see here, and it zips across the screen out of range. I don't know what we all just witnessed. I wasn't the only one that saw it. There are many other people online that have screen recorded this. It is super weird. Did you see it? What do you think it is?
Maui Island vibes. I apologize, folks. My neck is bothering me, so I'm going to be moving it a lot.
Are you also considering military force to annex and acquire Canada?
No, economic force, because Canada and the United States, that would really be something. You get rid of that artificially drawn line, and you take a look at what that looks like, and it would also be much better for national security. Don't forget, we basically protect Canada. I love the Canadian people. They're great. But we're spending hundreds of billions a year to protect it. We lose in trade deficits. We're losing massive. We don't need their cars. You know, they make 20% of our cars. We don't need that. I'd rather make them in Detroit. We don't need their lumber. We have massive fields of lumber. We don't need anything. So why are we losing $200 billion a year and more to protect Canada? And I said that to, as I called him, Governor Trudeau. I said, listen, what would happen if we didn't subsidize you? They should be a state. That's why I told Trudeau when he came down. I said, what would happen if we didn't do it? He said Canada would dissolve. Canada wouldn't be able to function if we didn't take their 20% of our car market. We don't need their cars. We don't need the other products. We don't need their milk. We got a lot of milk. So I said to him, well, why are we doing it? He said, I don't really know. He was unable to answer the question. But I can answer it. We're doing it because of habit. And we're doing it because we like our neighbors. And we've been good neighbors. But we can't do it forever.
Logic over emotion.
A powerful earthquake has been detected off the coast of California. The U.S. Geological Survey says it was a 7 magnitude quake, which was recorded at a depth of around 10 kilometers. And this earthquake was detected nearly 100 kilometers southwest of Ferndale. Now, authorities have been issuing a tsunami warning, and they are warning people living along the coast to be aware of the possibility of dangerous waves.
Let's pray for Los Angeles, folks.
TikTok ban just got a lot more serious, and I don't think anyone saw this coming. For a while, people have been saying, oh, even if it gets banned, it'll still be on your phone, you could still use it. No. TikTok just announced if the Supreme Court doesn't stop the ban, they will just cease operations of the app. Not only will it be off the App Store, TikTok themselves are shutting down the app. They're presenting their case in front of the Supreme Court tomorrow morning, and it needs to go away. I personally think that the Supreme Court will just put a pause on the ban. But if they don't, TikTok will be gone next week.
In the US, not the whole world.
What's going on?
Yeah. Can someone just hit that for low?
Keep moving this side. No, it's not this side. No, this side. Keep moving this side.
This is going to happen a lot, I'm afraid.
The Chinese have gone crazy. Their supercar can now jump over obstacles on the road without a driver. When BYD unveiled its four-motor, 1,287 horsepower U9, it literally shocked the world. The Yangwang U9 can drive on 3 wheels, perform a tank turn, jump over 1.5 inches into the air, and even dance. All thanks to its insane Disys X suspension system. But BYD didn't stop there. They released a video showing the U9 overcoming obstacles with its suspension. The car accelerates sharply from a standstill to 75 miles per hour, then effortlessly jumps over an 8-foot flooded pit on the road, covering a total jump distance of 20 feet. Next, the U9 effortlessly jumps over a 13-foot stretch of metal spikes designed to shred tires, with each spike standing 1.4 inches tall, just like the ones James Bond used to deploy from his car. Finally, a similarly sized obstacle in the shape of a painted rainbow on the road is also cleared in a single leap. And all of this happens without a driver behind the wheel, relying solely on its autonomous technology. It's both astonishing and completely pointless.
We have this brand in Indonesia, BYD, and actually it's pretty good and it's not expensive. And you know what? They give 10 years warranty. China don't play, man.
A title?
Yeah, it's just like the resurrection of the Christ. Yeah, it's like, so that's a title. And yeah, it's very ambitious. That's all I'll say. It took a long time to write. It's really ambitious, and it goes from like the fall of the angels to the death of the last apostle.
Do you have a start date?
I don't have a start date. I just have to begin pre-production and see what happens. And it's just going to roll in its own time. It's taken its own time. I thought it was late. I thought, well, it's taking too long. It's taking too long, but it's probably just right. Yeah, it's when it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Well, if you believe that, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope you're right.
I think I'm right. My instincts are that I'm right.
Yeah.
And if I was going to trust anybody with that story, it would be you.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a massive thing. And theologically, it's something that you have to really look at and make correlations that ring true. Because it's not all written.
Do you consult with someone, like a biblical scholar?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness, yeah. Yeah. And, of course, there's your own thing that comes into it from having read the book a few times. You read the book a few times, and it's amazing how your memory, how there's these recessive files somewhere in the background, how you can correlate this piece to that piece over there. And that's important because juxtaposition is everything with this story. And what it means in a bigger picture.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's hard to explain, but it's quite involved.
Yeah, well, I can only imagine.
Yeah. And I don't know that you can do it in a foreign language because the concepts are too difficult now. So that you may have to resort to the vernacular so that that at least is clear.
Is that up for debate right now with you?
Yeah, it is. I'm thinking like, But like, look, have you seen these apps now where they have this AI stuff where the guy's talking German and then he switches to French and then Spanish and then Chinese? And, have you seen that?
Yeah.
And his mouth moves and it's the same voice. I mean, it's crazy what they do. So,
So you're going to use that kind of a tool, do you think?
You could.
Will you begin it in Aramaic or in Hebrew?
Maybe. Yeah, Aramaic is really the kick, isn't it? But I think I'll write. I've written it in English, but I wrote the last one in English too and translated it. And then the people had to learn to speak it because I think there's only about 400 people that actually speak Aramaic still.
Wow.
And apparently they understood it, so I was happy about that.
Wow.
So that was good. Yeah, 400,000 people. Sorry.
Oh,
in the world.
That makes more sense.
Yeah. Sorry, 400 people. Yeah.
I'd like preserve those 400 people.
The Lord is knocking on Joe's heart. Cool to see live. What? The only thing I picked up was Violet is not an incredible, and everything else was just filler.
It showed them a photo of an alien grey, and this shaman just went, "That's Makanwabu." These guys who are doing podcasts got these Amazonian shamans on, and they were like, tribesmen from the Amazonian basin, living out in the jungle, drinking the ayahuasca, very much in communion with nature, no connection to modern society. And they asked, before they got the photo out, they asked them, like, "Do you know what an alien is? Like, what do you think about aliens?" And they were like, "No idea what that means. They haven't got a term for it in their language." So they showed them a photo of an alien grey, and this shaman just went, "That's Makanwabu." And they had a whole story about Makanwabu, this human that became an ant that lives underground and it can take your soul, and you need to be a good shaman to bring that soul back. But the fact that they had this complex mythology around something, they didn't know the term alien. The moment they saw the archetypical grey, they were like, "That is Makanwabu. That's something we have."
They're demons, man.
Beyonce is literally showing us signs to come. It's not the fact that she looking like a witch carrying an American flag. It's the fact that she looking like a witch carrying an American flag on a pale white horse. Do y'all know what this means? Do y'all understand what this pale white horse means? I don't really think y'all do. But if you do know, let me know down below in the comments. Once again, you see the pale white horse. But where else did we see this pale white horse? The Olympic Games. Do y'all remember? Y'all remember this pale white horse during the Olympics, right? What did this pale white horse represent in the Olympics? Wow, you cannot make this up. You cannot make this up. Same type horse. This white pale horse represents the apocalypse. The Pope just opened the 5th door. Beyonce riding a pale white horse. This same pale white horse was in the Olympics that represented the apocalypse. One of the 4 horsemen. Shit crazy, fool.
Have you heard of the book? Behold the pale white horse.
Bro, what? Okay, this is by far the most dangerous thing that you can buy on the internet, and it's not even close. So there are a bunch of companies that are selling DIY CRISPR kits for home use. If you didn't know, CRISPR is technology that allows you to edit genes. Now, most of these are fine, like making E. coli glow in the dark or turning plants red, but here's where it gets terrifying. To do CRISPR, you basically need a target organism. You need something called the Cas9 protein, which snips the genome. And then you need something called gRNA, which guides the Cas9 protein to the specific spot on the genome that needs to be cut. All these kits have specific and different gRNA that makes them do what they're advertised to do. But you can also custom make and order your own gRNA. And to order it and pick it up from the lab, you just need to say you won't use it on humans. Meaning now people can basically at home edit the genes of whatever they want. And if someone edits the wrong gene or messes up, bro, we could be cooked. I'm a big fan of freedom, but whoever's selling this, please stop. But on the other hand, I will be making this tomato plant glow in the dark and eating it, so stay tuned.
Didn't understand anything? I just look at that missing tooth.
Let's watch this video.
This is the most dangerous church in the world.
I'm walking towards the Abune Yamata Church, which is an ancient church here in the cliffside along these mountains. And we have to rock climb to get there. Jeez, look at that. That's like straight up.
I have got no climbing experience, so at this point I thought I was going to pass away and go to the real church. Once I got to the top of the mountain, after what felt like days, there were some men there who dressed me up. Oh, this church is around 1,500 years old, so you need candles to see the artwork on the walls. Little black baby Jesus.
But this is a book which is made up of a goat skin. And it's a book which deals about the miracle of Virgin Mary.
This is the bodies of the priest that used to live here. Still has skin. Okay, now we make our way back down.
So what do you think?
We don't have to go through all that to see Jesus.
Today I'm going to tell you the story of a witch named Harriet Boggs. So it's the 1900s and her story takes us back to the small town of Whispering Pines. Now Whispering Pines is a relatively close-knit community, agricultural, small town, and generally speaking, the town looks out for each other. Now one important thing to note about this town is that it sits on a relatively large creek bed. Now, up the creek about 3 miles as the crow flies is a town called Taylor Creek. Now at this point in time, Taylor Creek was still really underdeveloped. It was heavily wooded, lots of wildlife running around, and not a place you'd want to be caught by yourself, especially after dark. But of course, there are always those people who thrive in these environments, and Harriet Boggs was one of those. Because of Harriet's mysterious ways, her desire to live alone, and her relative reclusiveness, there were a lot of rumors that started to come out about her. Some reports claim that the closer you got to Harriet's homestead, the more uneasy you would start to feel, and it would feel as though you were being followed. In fact, there are other reports that claim seeing cats all over the woods staring at them as though they were being watched. Other accounts would claim that as they got closer to Harriet's house, they would start seeing mysterious fireballs on top of the water. Now, of course, this could have just been methane gas. This is a very natural phenomenon, but people said it happened more than it should have, and it was reported being seen quite a bit. In addition to this, these fireballs appeared to move at will, as though warning whoever was coming nearer to stay away from Harriet's house. The closer they got, the bigger it would grow. Again, not sure how true it is, but it is a little weird. Other reports include seeing statues in the woods like the one behind me, or hearing an ever-present humming or singing, although there was no one around for miles. Now, as these events started to get more common, these tales started to flow out of Taylor Creek, where Harriet lived, and into the towns around her. So as these tales started to spread, Harriet became a figure of folklore more than anything. Parents would use her stories to get their children to behave, stay out of the woods, listen. But it also became kind of a good campfire tale to tell as well. That was until the flood, though. Now, this was an unprecedented flood, unpredictable, once-in-a-lifetime event. In fact, a once-in-a-100-year event. But because they couldn't justify anything causing this level of devastation and catastrophe, such as living below the water table, they determined that it was only one thing and one thing only: witchcraft. In fact, it wasn't just any old witchcraft, it was Harriet Boggs. And what made it even worse was the fact that the flood didn't just bring devastation, it brought mosquitoes, and mosquitoes brought their own special gift, and that was yellow fever. And as the town started getting sick, people started dying, and of course that made people even more upset. Then to put the cherry on all of the chaos is the fact that the town's only doctor, Dr. Beauregard Jackson, passed away due to the fever, and this left the village utterly devastated. And of course, because this place was utterly devastated, they had suffered extreme loss, they needed a scapegoat. Now, this is where the story takes a dark turn, because in their grief, the men of the town decided that somebody needed to pay, and that somebody was Harriet Boggs. So they decided that they were going to go and get her and string her up. Now, it would be a courtesy if she even made it to the gallows, but we know that wasn't going to happen. But anyways, the men decided they would pursue Harriet, but there was something that stopped them. And that something was the fact that it was getting dark. According to these men, Harriet had dominion over the dark, and it wouldn't be wise to meet somebody in their element. So they decided they would wait until morning, and then they would go and find Harriet and make her face justice. Now, all that night, the men waited up, anticipating their chance for justice, but they weren't alone. There were howls and cackles outside of the window, cats, weird figures, everything seemed to be surrounding the town, just a feeling of utter darkness. Now, morning finally came for the men, and as they prepared to go out and exact their revenge, they noticed that there was a black cauldron in the middle of their town square. And as they got closer to it, they noticed there was a note on it that said, "Drink me." Now, of course, nobody wants to drink mysterious liquid from a mysterious cauldron, but desperate times call for desperate measures. So they called every member of the town out, and everybody got a spoonful. And as they were drinking it, they noticed there was a change in the weather. Previously murky and kind of muggy outside, the sky cleared and there was bright sun. So on this very cloudy day, the men called a town meeting, and everyone in the town came out to see what they wanted to talk about. And of course, as they got there, they noticed the cauldron as well. Now, the men instructed them to do one thing, and that was take a drink. So everybody passed the ladle around. Don't worry about any other viruses, just drink the juice. And everybody in the town did so. And miraculously, as they all started to pass the ladle around, the sun started to come. Again, these people had just experienced some massive storms and flooding, so the weather was still pretty bad for them. But like I said, as they started to pass the ladle, the sun came out, things appeared to cool off just a little bit, and you could feel the overall mood in the town just get a little bit lighter. Even better, in a few days, people miraculously started to recover. They gave this juice to everybody in the town who could drink it, and if they couldn't drink it, they would just pour it down their throat. So the nurses at this point were pretty happy. Again, they had even lost their doctors, so things were really starting to look up for this town. Now, at this point, because the men were pretty satisfied with what had happened with the cauldron, they decided they wanted to go and thank. Again, the magic that they accused her of using to kill the town's people and cause the flood was now magic they were happy to have around them, and magic they were thankful for. And they weren't crazy, and I will say, given the time, this was a pretty decent move on their end to thank her as opposed to... So the men set out to go find Harriet and give her a sincere thank you. But the funny thing is, as they approached where her house was supposed to be, there was a message on an old tree stump that had fallen. And as they approached the note, the men decided it was probably best to go ahead and turn around. And so they did so. And sadly, Harriet never got their thank you. But that's because on the parchment note they found tacked to the stump, it said, "Don't come looking again." And so they never did. But anyways, let me know if you've heard the story of Harriet Boggs before, and if you would have helped the town or let them perish. And if you can name the work that I'm referencing in this video, you get some cool points.
You know, they could have left a token of gratitude, you know, like flowers, shells, chicken maybe. Just for her to know that they were grateful.
See, the funniest thing is, the people who are awake in this world know how truly evil this world is. And you know what I'm talking about with the likes of that stuff with kids and all. I can't go too deep into it because TikTok will just shadow ban me for it. But when you go through an awakening, and when I mean awakening, I mean an awakening to what's going on in the world, you have to be able to compose yourself. You don't go telling loads of other people, you don't start freaking out. I know it's difficult, but this is why it's so important for you to be tapped into yourself spiritually. Because if you're not tapped into yourself spiritually, you're not going to be able to handle all this information about what goes on in the world. Play your part. Become the best financial and physical and spiritual version of yourself. If you need help, by the way, I have groups in my bio, a public and a VIP group for people.
Once your eyes are open, nothing will ever be the same. Question everything and everybody.
On the coast of Sicily, all these apartments were like catching on fire. A microwave, boom, some books, boom, couch, boom. And so the government came in and they're like, what the f is going on here? So they quarantine the area, get everyone to leave, and they're going, why are things catching on fire? They detected these energy weapons or something that were way out in the Mediterranean. What they looked out and saw were UFOs. So the head of the UFO program and the head of the Italian Navy SEALs get on an unmarked civilian helicopter and just fly out to go see what's going on out there. As they're flying, a UFO pops out of the ocean and shoots their helicopter down. I have the documents. I have pictures of the helicopter being chased by a UFO and all the damage that was done to it with some type of microwave weapon or something. And what they found out was there were airplanes and other helicopters kind of in the area, but the UFO knew that those dudes were looking for him. It's like they can read their minds. It's like we have drones that fly around and listen to people's like cell phones and shit. They do it with thought.
Okay, let's say it's true. Why would those supposedly, UFOs attack all those civilian housing?
Okay, TikTok, so I realised the other morning I left a lot to be desired when I told everybody about this video and that I was going to go and watch it. Now, I've had plenty of people telling me that this video doesn't exist and that I'm just lying. So I decided to play the video in the background with no sound on, because obviously the sound will get me banned. But here's the proof that this video does exist. And what happens on there, guys, it's far too gruesome and gory to even show, so that's why my head was in the way, and the sounds will probably get me banned as well, because it's nothing but screaming and, like, I don't know, demonic sort of cheering, and it's just hard to explain, and it's just a young girl getting absolutely mutilated, for lack of a better word. It's absolutely destroyed and tortured, and then the people who are doing it, they take the young girl's face and start wearing it as their own, and again they're celebrating. It's a nasty video. It's not something that I would recommend for people to watch. But anyway, I've moved on from this video now. I've carried on with my research. I've got past the mental block that this video almost caused for me, I won't lie. So tomorrow, as of tomorrow, I'll just keep going with this research, right down this rabbit hole. So get ready, guys, because I'm going to start linking a load of people together. And if you're not following me yet, you flipping should be. Come onto my page and click my notification bell, then click all, so you don't miss none of my future uploads.
Does it show clearly who is doing this? And has the girl been identified?
Look at this clip of this Pakistani couple whose children are suffering awful things because they married the cousins.
Mohsin has a rare genetic disease which is gradually destroying his body. He was born with it because his mother and father are first cousins.
Or would you risk the future for no good reason? This is something we now understand, but back then was not understood. Lives can be altered and harmed through cousin marriage, yet it still continues in large numbers in certain Muslim communities.
We're the biggest Islamic country in the world, but our government is prohibiting, to marry your family, your own cousins. Ew.
This is it for us, as the California fire will burn the entire land mass, causing California to no longer exist, and the government is now reported to stop at nothing to burn us all alive. People were terrified after Ali Carter, lead victim in the Diddy case, said the LA fires are not from Earth, as videos show alleged lasers coming out of the fires, and specifically burning exactly where Diddy and his other celebrity friends' homes are, leaving not even rocks behind. But it gets stranger, as even the new president is coming out to say the California governor had shut off the fresh water supply to California right before the fire, leaving the firefighters fighting this with dry fire hydrants and helicopters, with even the mayor leaving California altogether, but had cut $17.6 million of funding from the fire department right before, and even the insurance companies that covered fires for decades cutting off fire insurance just months before this. With haunting videos of the California fire spreading so rapidly, CNN reports this cannot be a normal fire, as it is not only 0% contained after days, but it's destroying a distance of 5 football fields every minute.
I hope it rains in California so the fires will be gone. By the way, stay safe out there, California.
Hey, watch this. Mel Gibson just went on the Joe Rogan podcast, talked about the resurrection. Check this out.
I regard the Gospels as history. It's verifiable history. Some people say, oh, it's a fairy tale. He never existed, but he did. And there are other accounts, verifiable historical accounts outside the biblical ones that also bear this up, that yes, he did exist. And the other aspect of that is that all the evangelists, the apostles who went out there, every single one of those guys died rather than deny their belief.
Yep.
And nobody dies for a lie. Nobody.
Right.
So that's part of what I'm doing. It's like showing nobody dies for a lie.
Yeah, well, the resurrection is the one that is the most difficult for people to swallow.
Yes.
That is the one that requires the most faith.
The most faith and the most belief, yeah, resurrection.
Yeah.
Who gets back up 3 days later after he gets murdered in public? Who gets back up under his own power?
You believe that was a real event?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. These things, and you accept them on faith. And I still have that faith, but as I got older, I came to it through intellect and through reading and putting things together in accounts, and then occurrences, like in my own life. I mean, just recently they verified the Shroud of Turin. Have you seen that?
I've been reading about it, and I know that there's some contention, there's some discussion and debate about it, but they used to think that it was only a couple hundred years old.
Yeah.
And now they've changed that.
Yeah, they said no, it's back then.
They also don't understand how it was made, which to me is very fascinating, because it's not paint. It's not, they don't know what caused the image itself and how that technology would have even been available.
It wasn't, no.
A couple thousand years ago.
An intense light, I mean, atomic, to leave almost like a photographic imprint on a piece of cloth.
Yeah.
God is real. Love Mel Gibson.
These mathematics.
Yeah.
This
This is, by the way, this isn't even my chain. I stole it from somebody. Yeah. I tell y'all who got off camera. Uh-oh.
Stealing chains now? Is it a world star?
Not really stealing.
Does it mean anything to you, though?
Yeah, a little bit.
Called "Do What Thou Shalt Wilt." Now, many people will look at that and think, "Oh, yeah, that's a cool quote." But if you're not educated enough, you would not know where he got that quote from. And he got that quote from a guy called Aleister Crowley. Aleister Crowley was a renowned Satanist, right? Anyone knows about Aleister Crowley? The Beatles used him in their album. He was an Englishman in the 1940s who was a mad Satanist.
So why is Jay-Z using this?
I'll give you some things that Aleister Crowley used to do, yeah? He rented out a place in Italy, yeah, to do these satanic rituals, and they would do like mad rituals where they would have like group sex with like sheep.
What?
Then he went to Egypt and he claimed that he was being contacted by Isis, the pharaoh god. He also
So he was a madman.
he was a madman, but he claimed to be divinely inspired by Satan, and that
How did he die?
He died a natural death here in Britain in a care home, and he's probably.
I think Crowley was the best of the best when it comes to dark practices. What do you think?
Today, we are exploring abandoned rich people's houses in China on the top of a mountain. Now, the story behind who was supposed to live in all of these huge mansions and why they never did is so controversial that I was warned to not even post this video until I left China. And not only that, but there's virtually no trace of this place online. No articles, no mentions, nothing. So everything I did find out was from locals, and even then, they didn't want to be on camera or say much about it. Apparently, this entire estate was built for high-ranking members of the Chinese government, and its secluded location wasn't just for privacy. They say that it was deliberately designed to make it harder for outsiders to visit and bribe officials into signing off on projects. I mean, we literally had to climb up a dodgy trail on the side of a mountain to get here. But sometime around 2012, the public found out that these houses were being gifted to government officials for free. And apparently this became such a huge scandal that they were forced to halt construction. So for over a decade, these luxury multi-story mansions with private elevators, multi-car garages, and outdoor jacuzzis have just been left here to rot. But the most unsettling part was that one or two looked almost complete and even lived in. And they were also the only ones with curtains, so you couldn't see whatever might still be inside. Honestly, we might never know the full story. But if this video gets removed or suspiciously low views on TikTok, we'll know this was capped.
Okay, now good luck going back to China, Dylan.
I'm Singaporean.
What?
Somebody tell me what this white stuff is. I'll tell you what it's not. It's not melting. Very warm coffee at this point. It's warm. Look at that. That should be gone. It's just, what the fuck is that? This one caught my attention. You could Google that yourself right now. ChatGPT, check it out yourself. There are patents for this shit. Between the weird fog concealing all the Dior bags and the snow situation, I'm really starting to understand why this man disappeared. I feel like the closer we get to decode this entire matrix, the harder the evil side will push back. This is Jacobo Greenberg. He is a doctor of physics, and he bridged two most fascinating worlds together. The world of Indian medicine men and shamans and quantum physics. Figured out how to manipulate reality. 12 hours later, he vanished without a trace. You can verify this shit. Ask ChatGPT, ask Google, ask your mom, ask whoever the fuck you want. All his research, gone. They did the same thing to Nikola Tesla. At the root of all of this is very basic information. If you're vibrating at 250 or lower, that is exactly where you can be controlled, where you will go to work, you will come home, you will fight with your wife, and you will be miserable. When you get above this, love, joy, these vibrations, you can't be touched at these vibrations. Something magical happens. I know this video is about the weird snow and the weird fog, but I believe this all ties together. Get a hold of your own reality. Not all weird hippie science. There's quantum physics that backs this up. If you silence your mind, you could do fucking anything. Dr. Joe Dispenza explains that on the quantum level, you can design your own reality, and it really is true. I'm a perfect example. I got kicked out of the 10th grade, I went to jail, and I shouldn't have a fucking penny. But here I am, a 5,600 square foot house, a wife, 5 kids, a dog. Come on, Butters. This is a GX 460. That's an ES 350. And this is where I live. I love it here. Reminders are all over my house. Understand the language of money. It's currency. It's flowing like a river. These are fish.
Can someone explain what people mean by Dior bags? Isn't that like a designer bag or something? I'm confused.
How can people not see that he's mocking us? Check this out right here from one of the biggest propaganda accounts on X, where Mr. Tony Musk will live stream Path of Exile later today on X. I don't think people realize how profound that post was. For this guy right here is leading millions of people down the eternal path of exile. And of course, how prophetic is it that he is the top Diablo 4 player in the world, where he loves to post about the pit tier, which I'm sure the spirit behind Mr. Musk comes from the bottomless pit of Revelation 9:11, and they had as a king over them the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in Hebrew is Abaddon, kind of like a bad dawn, but in Greek he has the name Apollyon. Now look, I understand to 90% of individuals who watch this will think this is nonsense and there's nothing going on here, but I'm telling you right now, he is leading millions of people down the eternal path of exile, away from God, complete rebellion, the Tower of Babel 2.0, where humans are making up their own God in their own image through artificial intelligence. He will be the savior of the world. Artificial intelligence will be the savior, not Jesus Christ. No, it will be a system that man has constructed where they will put a king for them, which will be the Antichrist, which I'm sure they will have a tie there with technology and the fallen angels, which will come as aliens, whatnot. But do not allow this guy to deceive you. He is not on your side. He does not care about you. He has an agenda. He has plans set in motion that are ancient, truly ancient, and don't fall for that path. Narrow is the way and few find it. Keep your eyes focused upon the Lord. Do not be deceived.
Amen.
Do not be sucked into this world during this end time scenario that is unfolding in front of our eyes, guys. Really, finish the race strong, okay? Do not be deceived out there. With that, I love you all so much. God bless. Remember, the just shall live by faith.
I don't trust Elon. Jesus Christ is Lord.
Not heard about the 28 girls that were hospitalized after using a Ouija board?
A seemingly innocent game quickly turns into a chilling encounter. This is the Ouija board in Kingsbridge. It all starts when a group of friends in the Bronx decides to experiment with a Ouija board. What seemed like harmless fun takes a dark turn when the board connects them with a spirit named Frank. At first, the group jokes around, but Frank's responses become unsettling. One user comments that using a Ouija board is like sending a group text to any spirit in the area, and it appears Frank was eager to respond. The story only deepens when Frank begins revealing personal information and even hints at unresolved messages. The comment section is flooded with warnings, with many sharing their own eerie Ouija board experiences. One commenter recounts a student who became unrecognizable after using the board, while another reveals that a spirit they contacted followed them home. The creator hints there's even more to the story, leaving viewers on edge. Whether you believe in the supernatural or not, one thing is certain. This is a cautionary tale about playing with things that invite the unknown.
It's demons, not your dead relatives.
Somebody tell me, what the hell was LeBron James popping on the sideline during the basketball game? He was sitting on a bench. He was beside his trainer. His trainer discreetly pulled out something out the bag, dumped something in his hand, and then gave him what it appears to be a pill. I don't know what it was. I ain't even about to say no crazy shit. But we all know LeBron James is pushing 40. Could it have been that new juice? Because after that, this man started playing out his mind. So that joint must have kicked in quick. I'm pretty sure it wasn't no perk 30. Y'all let me know. Here y'all go. As you can see, the trainer and Bron. What is that? Somebody explain to me, what is that? This been going around. Like I said, I'm not going to speculate what it is. But if it was something crazy, my only thing is, why would he do it on the court? So I don't know. But like I said, after he popped this joint, he went crazy. So that joint had to give him some type of superpowers. Leave y'all thoughts down below in the comments. I gotta hear what y'all gotta say.
I don't understand why ESPN don't discuss this on national TV. They're all silent.
The smell that almost wiped out London. In 1858, London wasn't just a big city. It was a stinking cauldron about to explode. The infamous Great Stink wasn't just an annoyance. It was a deadly threat. With a population doubling at an insane pace, the River Thames became the capital's official dumping ground. Feces, dead animals, factory waste. Everything ended up there. Then summer hit like a movie villain. A brutal heat wave dried up the river, exposing a disgusting soup that made anyone want to vomit just walking by. But it wasn't just the smell that killed. Cholera and typhoid came with a vengeance. Desperate, the authorities turned to Joseph Bazalgette, the unsung hero. He designed a revolutionary sewer system, saving the city and inspiring the world. The Great Stink became history, but it was the wake-up call London needed to step out of the dark ages.
You know, 1858 in the UK, some countries are like that today in 2025. If you know, you know.
Theory goes that parasites are actually demons.
Parasite. Kinda, yeah.
Check this.
They go
right?
into your body and fuck everything up.
Parasites are what the demons are. In the Bible, what does it say to release demons? What must you do?
What?
You must pray and what? And fast. Why fast?
Oh, so there's nothing else coming in your body.
Yeah, so the parasites can't thrive.
Multiply. Yeah, they don't
Parasites
multiply.
can't thrive. Now, what do parasites do that demons are likely to do too? Parasites, they change your mood. They change your behavior. They make you crave bad food. They make you do bad behavior. And they get you stuck in almost like a frequency that makes you worse and worse and worse. Parasites. What do demons do? The same thing. They change your mentality, they change your mood. They almost change your whole character.
Yeah.
What's the only way to take them out? Like they said in the Bible, pray
yeah.
and fast. Fast, fam. I never really understood fasting until now. Because that's literally your body. That's everything that's inside of it. So you can imagine if the bad stuff for us, the tempting stuff is the sweets, the sugars. That stuff is tempting, bro. Like
you're gonna fast so it never comes in your body.
And those stuff, like if the parasite keeps thriving on it, that's why we're so addicted to that stuff. Because the parasite is making us want it more. That's how they survive. They literally survive off sugars.
Yeah.
Damn. If you look at microscopic images of a parasite, they look like monsters.
Low-key.
They look like plenty of teeth type shit. Dude. That's what demons look like. So what if when you have nightmares of demons, that's actually a parasite just expanded? Yeah.
Fasting for 3 days reactivates body functions to repair the whole body.
You know who Robert Johnson is?
No.
It's so freaky, his story. So this was in the early 1900s. He had a terrible home life. Very poor. His dad died, but he was obsessed with music. And he would go into these clubs where he would go up on stage and start playing. And the people were like, can you get this guy off the stage? He sounds so bad. He's terrible. And so he's like, I'm just gonna go. And so he was gone for a year. And then he came back and they said that he was one of the best guitar players in the world. world. And Robert Johnson wrote a song about me and the devil and another song called Crossroads. And the whole story is that he was walking on and he hit this crossroad and it was midnight and a man came out and he said it was the devil and was like, do you want to be the best in the world? And Robert Johnson's like, yes. So the devil took the guitar, tuned it, played a song, gave it back, and he was the best guitar player in the world.
What?
And he says, you won't have this forever. Like, you will lose something. Went back, started getting real popular, got married. His wife almost immediately died after getting married. Wow. A couple of years into being a musician. And then someone poisoned him and he died at the age of 27.
No.
Wow.
Yep, there is a documentary and a movie on Netflix called Devil at the Crossroads. Yo, this is crazy. The film Battle Royale is also based on true events. I think it came out in 2000, produced in China.
Yes, you and I have friends that in hard times we would call them. But I would bet money that you have even fewer friends that you want to text out of the blue and say, I won an award. Right? Think about that. Like, if something goes wrong, I've got a group of friends, probably a dozen people I could say and say, I need your help. Things have gone horribly wrong. I need your advice. But if something amazing happens to me, that number probably shrinks down to 4. That I'm going to text out of the blue and go, something amazing happened today, and not feel like I'm bragging, not feel like I'm trying to overwhelm them or prove them that I'm better than them, but knowing that they will be so happy for me. And so I've started thinking that maybe a friend isn't just the person who's there for you in the hard times, but the person you can go to in the great time.
Honestly, that friend doesn't exist for me. My mom is dead, friend.
Here's the secret about satellites they don't want you to know. And once you hear this, everything will start making sense. Did you know that nearly 100% of all transoceanic internet traffic, yes, the internet you're using right now, travels through undersea cables? That means your video calls, streaming, and even international TV broadcasts aren't coming from satellites in space, but from fiber optic lines lying at the bottom of the ocean. So why then do we hear so much about satellites? If all the data is moving through cables, what exactly are these satellites doing? Are they just decoration in the sky, or is there something they're not telling us? The truth is, the idea of satellites floating in outer space might just be one of the biggest marketing schemes of our time. Think about it. If everything is transmitted through underwater cables, why do we need satellites? The answer is simple. We don't. Our space isn't some endless void above us. It's right here, our oceans. That's where the real magic happens, and the clues are all around us. The ancient astronomical clock, built over 600 years ago, doesn't reflect a spinning heliocentric Earth. Instead, it's geocentric, a system that stood the test of time because it's rooted in observable reality. Still not convinced? Let's talk about Lake Baikal in Russia. It's the world's largest freshwater lake, stretching 395 miles long and 49 miles wide. For 5 months a year, it's frozen solid and flat. If the Earth were a globe, there should be 19 miles of curvature across that lake. But guess what? There's none. The surface remains perfectly flat, even when frozen solid. And what about airplanes? When pilots lose communication with ground towers, they rely on something called dead reckoning. This technique involves maintaining a steady heading and altitude based on the assumption of a flat, stable Earth. If satellites were real and functional, pilots wouldn't need this backup method. So why do they still use it? Here's another clue. Astronauts train underwater. Why? Because what they call spacewalks look and feel a lot like underwater movements. Maybe that's because our space is much closer to home than we think, right beneath the surface of our oceans. If this has you questioning what you've been taught, it's time to dig deeper. Follow this page for more mind-blowing truths that will make you see the world in a whole new way.
Just go to the end of the earth and take a picture. Problem solved. Man, I love seeing animals. Wow. Oh my god. Oh man. Look at that. Oh. What? What? No. Oh. That looks like AI. Oh no. Makes me happy seeing this. Oh my goodness. Oh no. Little piggy. We could learn so much from animals.
This is what it's like to live on an offshore oil rig in the middle of winter in the ocean. So yes, the waves are massive, but the reason why we do it is because of the pay right here. Up to 18,700 per month, and some roles pay a lot more than this. These are the lads today doing the scaffolding on the bottom of the oil rig, and the waves are starting to pick up, so we had to get off and get on deck. The waves out here can get crazy. I personally love the waves, especially in the winter time, because I am a sea fanatic and I love looking at waves, especially on the off-sea oil rig. But yeah, it's actually really safe in here. We've had no casualties, and this place has been around many years. This here is a safety course we also have to do for when it gets really bad and you need to use one of the safety boats, which has also never happened. This is another stormy evening with the waves picking up. Again, it's still not too bad, and these things are really safe. Many male and females do work on this oil rig, and there's positions for absolutely everybody. We even do have a gym, we have a cinema, a music room, PC/gaming room, a knitting room, and many other facilities on board. There's positions for both male and female, and they pay extremely well, and some roles don't even require qualifications. If you're serious about wanting to get on a FIFO offshore oil rig, make sure you head over to our Instagram, FIFO Guide 2, and we have a website that shows you exactly how to get on board. This here is the basketball court on deck, and look at the view. And this here is a bit of the food that's also free for lunch, dinner, and breakfast. But I'll see you on the next one, folks.
There you go, folks, if you're interested. Hey, by the way, I'm very pleasantly surprised that the facilities on the oil rig are that good. I hope the cell phone reception is good also. It all makes, workers feels less isolated.